Venice has always been shaped by water, light, and human rhythm. Every century left its mark on the canals, the plazas, and the people who move through them. In this video, we step into Venice not as tourists, but as witnesses, seeing the city as it was truly experienced. If you enjoy this kind of history, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which place or area you'd like to explore next. A painting by Giovanni Bellini offers a rare glimpse of Venice at the turn of the 16th century. The city feels dense and alive, with tall stone buildings rising directly from the water. Crowds gather along the canal's edge and across the bridge, watching a quiet ceremony unfold. Gondolas drift through the scene, already a familiar part of daily life. The water is calm, but the energy is not. You can almost hear voices echoing across the canal. This image captures a Venice that was powerful, proud, and convinced its way of life would endure forever. A map by Joan Blau shows Venice at a moment when it was still a major power, yet beginning to feel pressure from shifting trade routes. From above, the city appears as a dense maze of narrow streets wrapped around the long curve of the Grand Canal. Rooftops press tightly together, and the entire city seems to float on open water. Ships crowd the lagoon, some heading toward the Adriatic, others unloading goods for island markets. What we see is a working city built on trade, movement, and constant negotiation with the sea. An engraving from the 1600s captures one of the most intense naval clashes of the era, when the Venetian fleet confronted the Ottoman navy at the Dardanelles. The scene is crowded with galleys and warships firing at close range. Smoke hangs low over the water. You can sense the chaos. Crews shouting, cannons roaring, ships grinding against one another. Venice fought fiercely to control these straits because they were vital to trade and power in the eastern Mediterranean. For a brief moment in 1656, the Republic held the advantage, and this artwork freezes at fragile victory in time. An illustration from the Atlantic Veneto shows a Venetian galleass in full detail. These ships were the pride of Venice's navy, combining the firepower of sailing warships with the maneuverability of galleys. Tall masts, heavy banks of oars, and raised cannon platforms dominate the design. The vessel cuts confidently through rough water, as if nothing could challenge it. By the late 1600s, galleasses stood as symbols of Venetian engineering and maritime dominance. A wide, calm view of the Bacino di San Marco captures Venice at the height of its confidence. Boats glide across the water with effortless rhythm. Merchants, sailors, and locals move through the foreground as if this extraordinary view were simply part of everyday life. The Doge's palace and surrounding buildings rise behind them, steady and familiar. Even then, Venice felt both ancient and alive, a city fully aware of its own beauty. As evening settles in, the city slows. A great dome anchors the skyline, surrounded by warm, tightly packed buildings resting at the water's edge. Gondolas drift unhurriedly through canal, carrying people entirely at ease with this floating world. Nothing here is dramatic. It's quiet, steady, lived in. By the late 1600s, Venice was no longer the dominant maritime power it once was. But daily life still moved with grace and quiet confidence. The Rialto appears as the working heart of the city. In drawing by Canaletto, the square is alive with vendors, shoppers, and routine movement. The Church of San Giacomo stands at the center, its clock watching over a place built on constant exchange. Goods change hands, news spreads, and the rhythm of the city plays out in public view. The scene feels practical, energetic, and unmistakably Venetian. Along the Rio dei Mendicanti, Venice appears unpolished and real. The canal cuts through the city like a quiet backbone, lined with pale facades on one side and weathered, irregular buildings on the other. Gondolas slip past as residents gather along the edges, talking, waiting, repairing, passing by. Laundry hangs overhead. Light fills the space softly. It's an ordinary day, captured with patience and honesty. Where the Grand Canal opens toward San Maria della Salute, the city feels bright and expansive. Sunlight strikes the great dome and the long lines of palaces framing the water. Gondolas move in every direction, some traveling, some waiting, some simply drifting. The water reflects a wide, open sky. Venice appears elegant, yet deeply alive, shaped not by ceremony alone, but by constant motion. In paintings by Francesco Guardi, San Giorgio Maggiore feels calm, open, and slightly dreamlike. Boats crowd the foreground as people row, unload goods, and talk across decks. Reflections shift gently. The sky remains soft and wide. Guardi shows Venice not as a monument, but as a working city shaped by routine, tide, and time. Crowded plazas reveal another side of Venetian life. People move in every direction, locals, merchants, visitors, crossing paths beneath steady daylight. Columns anchor the space while distant landmarks hold the horizon. Architecture, conversation, and movement blend together. Venice becomes a social stage, where daily life unfolds in shared public space. At ceremonial moments, the city transforms. Facades are dressed with banners, crowds gather, and music fills the air. Processions move through ordinary squares, turn into theaters of ritual and celebration. Venice lived through spectacle, community, and tradition, turning even familiar streets into moments of shared meaning. Finally, along the Fondamenta Nuove, Venice returns to quiet routine. Buildings line the waterfront in a steady row. Small boats move slowly across calm water. Churches and hospitals anchor the distance with solid form. It's not a scene of celebration, but of continuity, showing Venice as it truly was. Busy, worn, resilient, and unmistakably alive.